So in terms of the latest election violence and stuff in Kenya that happened, essentially there was a joke in Kenya that the Gikuyu people are the largest ethnic group, right, from the Central Highlands, right, in Kenya, and then the second largest ethnic group is the Luo people,
Right.
which is a group where Obama's father and grandfather, are from. The Luo live around Lake Victoria, Nyanza, which is in the western Kenya. So they're the second. So the joke in Kenya before the elections was that the U.S. is going to have a Luo president before Kenya ever will, because Kenya's never had a Luo president, and so.
Although would they have? And how did the election go? Did they actually? Do you think they won? Or
well, now, yeah, but there was
not Kenyatta, but
Odinga, yeah. There was a real mobilization of sort of mid-level politicians, of gangs of people to intimidate the opposition, and actually attack different areas that spun out of control. And now we have a power-sharing agreement between Mwai Kibaki and Odinga. But what's the next test now for Kenya and for Kenyan society is they have done they've researched the violence, and they've come up with indicted several people, like 6 sort of ringleaders, people that were actually organizing the violence, and we're trying to bring actual charges against those people so they can have their day in court for the crimes that they've perpetrated. I mean, I don't know the numbers in terms of numbers of people killed, but it was at least 600 people died during that time. And so the people that actually organized the violence, we hope that they will be brought to justice now. And so there's a popular movement that is pressuring both politicians, the co-presidents, to really move ahead with the results of this inquiry, make it public, and then bring these people to justice so that there's some sort of accountability and that you can't get away with this stuff in the future.
This is Michael James, live from the Heartland, talking with Professor Tim Nevin. We're talking about Africa. What about, we're not using the word tribal anymore.
Right,
we're talking
right.
about ethnic groups. So there have been, across Africa, there have been in the recent past and continuing today, really serious conflicts between different ethnic groups. And you would have to use the term ethnic cleansing. I think in whether Rwanda, Darfur. Tell us about this phenomena and what you think is going on.
Right. Well, every situation is different. I'm glad you brought up Darfur because President-elect Obama has been to Darfur. There was a documentary, I think it was produced by Oprah, called Obama in Africa. And anyway, he went to it was a trip where he visited the refugee camps on the Chadian side of the border with Sudan, in Darfur, and he also visited South Africa and met with Nelson Mandela and things like this. But anyway, when he was in Darfur, meeting with people, Darfurians that were displaced. Refugees living in Chad by the border, he promised them that, I'm not going to forget you. When I, become president or whatever. I mean, in the future, America is not going to let you guys just rot out here. We're going to actually try to put pressure to stop the genocide in Sudan, in Darfur, and try to, put pressure so that life can somehow return to normal, people can return home, and maybe some justice can be done against the organizers of this genocide. And in fact, people have been indicted for international war crimes, in Darfur that have been organizing these Janjaweed militias to attack unarmed civilians, and burn down villages, and in this coordinated effort. And so I'm really hoping that Obama will put pressure, and there's a lot of ways we can bring diplomatic pressure to isolate Sudan, that the government that's been really sponsoring this genocide. The thing is that it's going to take political will. And unfortunately, when I would listen to all the debates, all the presidential debates with McCain and Obama, and the one on the foreign relations, the international issues, that that debate essentially just boiled down to Iraq and Afghanistan, and so no African countries were even mentioned, and no Latin American countries were mentioned either. But so it's sort of like a very narrow foreign affairs focus in terms of that, because obviously there's this crisis that Bush brought on by invading Iraq. And Afghanistan. So I'm just hoping that the African crises, including Darfur and what's going on in Eastern Congo, and also what's going on in Zimbabwe, will not be forgotten or ignored, by the new presidency. Because
a quick thing on Darfur. I could never really grasp what was going on, but then I think I read a piece that talked about drought and diminishing agricultural regions, and then a split between the Arab militia or the Janjaweed, which I think are Muslim, and then Christian. So there's a lot of...
Yeah, well, actually, in Darfur, everyone's Muslim.
Okay.
So what you're referring to with the Muslim-Christian thing is the North-South Civil War, which is ended now, and there's a peace treaty. So that was a civil war that went on for over 25 years, and but John Garang was just killed in this helicopter crash, and they came to some sort of agreement after a long period. That was the North-South conflict, but we're talking about Darfur is basically west of Khartoum, the capital. So we're essentially talking about a genocide taking place where it's really Muslim against Muslim, and it's also very hard to distinguish by race in terms of like who's prosecuting who. But essentially it is it's a land grab by the government, and it's also essentially what they're doing is they're attacking perceived supporters of this rebel group that rose up against the central government early, was it 2002, I believe. So essentially the idea is to try to chase off or kill the perceived supporters among the Fur people, and chase them into Chad or burn their villages and everything. Get rid of the support for this rebel group so they won't have any support base as a guerrilla army.
Well, let's in our moments that we have left. I wish we had a lot of time on this. Let's go around the continent, so to speak. Give us a little bit on both Liberia and Sierra Leone, and then maybe on Zimbabwe, and then South Africa.
Well, I actually have a lovely song that's queued up from Zimbabwe. Maybe we can finish with that.
That's what we'll do.
Which is a very new song by a woman singer named Chiwaniso.